This is StarTalk.
Welcome back to StarTalk Radio, live. Marine Memorial Theater, Sketchfest 13, San Francisco, California, USA. Here on stage, the brilliant and funny kid in the hall, Dave Foley. The explorer for search for extraterrestrial signals from deep in the galaxy, Seth Shostak. And your old friend and buddy, Eugene Mirman. I'm Bill Nye, the Science Guy, sitting in on a four-legged stool for my esteemed colleague and dear friend, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yes. Eugene.
Yes.
As we went to break.
Yes.
You asked a fundamental and important driving question.
Yes. How many light years?
How many weirds?
How many light winds? How many light years are we away from the closest Earth-like or inhabitable planet?
We don't know, but take that number
and double
1 out
it?
of 5. No, you could. You could.
I'll double anything. You just give me an hour.
All right.
Not a real thing. Go on.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, all you need is at least 5 star systems, and now you have a good chance for one habitable planet. And 5 star systems, you'll find those within 10, 12 light years.
Oh, really? Mm. Great.
Wow, that's right down the galactic street.
So wait, you don't even need to fold space? They really could have.
Well, let me just tell you how long it takes to go 10 light years at the speed of a NASA rocket. Okay?
Probably at least 2 weeks, maybe years.
You're right. It is years. It's about 700.
Well, it's also weeks.
Yes.
I'm not technically wrong. It's just very inefficient.
The number gets big, that's all.
Well, there was no way you could get the answer wrong. That's true. It takes about, what does it take, 70,000, 100,000 years to go to the nearest star at the speed of
that is...
That's even if you punch it. Yeah. So, Seth, deep within, one might ask, astronomers have been looking at the heavens for a long time. We pick a number, 4 centuries. Yeah. You guys, not that I don't kind of include myself as one of you guys, but let's say you all, have been looking at the heavens for 60 years. Is that accurate? 50-something years. Mm-hmm. 50 and some change.
Folk singers for 70.
Yeah. But you haven't heard a thing. And you haven't heard a thing. And this gets back to Fermi's paradox. If they're out there, why haven't we heard from them?
Well,
this better be good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if everybody in the audience knows Fermi's paradox, unless they're related to the guy. But Fermi,
they don't.
Okay.
Let me just definitively answer that.
Really? Don't underestimate him.
Everyone?
Okay.
I enjoy his conundrum better.
Tell us his paradox.
But then that involved his personal life. Fermi was having lunch one day in 1950, I think it was. It's all apocryphal. But he was having lunch, I guess in Los Alamos, with a couple of physicists. And at some point between 2 bites of a tuna fish sandwich, he says, "So where is everybody?" And he wasn't referring to the lack of company at the lunch. What he was referring to was the fact that the time that it would take to colonize the galaxy, if that's on your agenda. If you're the Klingons and you decide you want to colonize the galaxy, and even if your rockets aren't all that fast, but if you stay at it, you can do it in a few tens of millions of years, maybe 30, 40, 50 million years.
Now
that's a long time. Yeah, that's a long time if you're waiting for a bus in San Francisco. But that's not very long compared to the age of the galaxy. So what he was saying is, if there really are advanced societies out there, some of them, one of them, would have colonized the entire galaxy by now. We see no evidence of that, and that's why I said, "So where is everybody?" At which point he let the subject drop.
And ruined lunch.
No, well, I'm still enjoying that lunch.
Yeah, but we know for a fact that one advanced civilization exists, us.
Well, by our own definition.
Yeah.
We do have microphones.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. And look, no wires.
What?
Yeah.
Why, this is witchcraft!
And we can tell horses to go left, so we're really pretty good.
Yee-ha. So it is one thing to speculate on intelligent life and hope that we will find intelligent life, but I, for one, am thoroughly charmed by the idea that we go to Mars on a summer day near the equator where there's some sub-sand glacier on Mars that's oozing some crazy super salty water out there, and we find some Martian microbes, right? It would change the world. People would riot in the streets, pitchforks. The government wouldn't let them know about it. But with that said,
Yeah, if we found the flu on Mars, we would kill each other. I would kill everyone here.
Yeah, well, you know, Eugene, we've run that experiment, and it turned out you didn't kill him because, to begin with, 100 years ago, there's this guy, Percival Lowell, down in Arizona with his telescopes claiming there were canals crisscrossing the surface of Mars. He said this vast hydraulic civilization, 35 million miles from downtown San Francisco. Did people riot in the streets? No. In 1996, biggest science news story of the entire year, a little Martian meteorite, you may remember this, ALH 84001. And the claim was that there were Martian...
No, Allen Hills, 84001.
But
Yeah,
say
who
it
cares?
quickly.
ALH 84001. Yeah,
I believe it was 8073329.
No.
it's just as good. They
That's
look
a
the
joke.
same. All right, this thing came from Mars and landed in Antarctica where it was very easy to find because it's on top of the snow, right? And
The only way for it to get there, it's really a striking thing, everybody. When you walk around there and you find a rock on top of the ice, it takes you a second. There's nothing around. I mean, there's no rocks, there's no mountains around, nothing grinding, there's no bulldozer, there's no construction site. The only way for the rock to get there is it fell from outer space. It's really
Or a
gives me pause
mischievous
for
child left it.
My first thought would be, why am I in Antarctica?
because we're exploring.
Well, I don't.
Yeah, well, there people do.
I'm from Canada. I don't go anywhere colder than Canada.
Is there such a place? Enlighten us.
But did this
So-
rock have things we thought were life, but
Yes,
really aren't?
yes.
There was a
Yeah.
a fossilized microbe.
Right. The claim by some guys at NASA and also Stanford University.
And President Clinton.
Yeah.
Well, Clinton made the announcement, that's
By
true.
sex addicts and nerds. Go on.
You got a problem with
that there was life.
Both are wonderful.
That there was life in this rock, or dead life. I mean, it was dead, but it was dead, Jim. But it was a little microbe, and the claim was it was a Martian from 4 billion years ago. All right? This was front page, above the fold, giant font news in the New York Times for 4 days running.
Liberals.
So,
But people didn't riot in the streets.
No.
No, they just found out it wasn't true.
but it was fascinating because it's not unreasonable that life started on Mars. This is, you guys, it's extraordinary, but it's not crazy to suggest that life started on Mars when Mars was very wet. And then it got hit with an impactor. I mean, I'm sure it was excited also.
You are all a bag of perverts!
I didn't
With
know science was so
water.
dirty.
Any chance, any tiny.
Hey,
It's fine.
that's your problem.
Yes,
So-
I know.
So, okay, so this thing is, it gets hit with an impactor 3 billion years ago. The stuff's thrown into space. It gets in, a few bits of it get in this extraordinary mathematical thing called a Hohmann orbit, yeah? And except it's in outer space, so it goes and lands on the Earth. And you and I are somehow descendant from a Martian microbe. And let me just say, it would be an extraordinary discovery about the course of events. It would really be something. And so along this line, if we are all descendant from a common ancestor, which seems a reasonable conclusion when you look at your DNA and all those, the primitive life forms, like, anyone? My old boss. Yeah, and
Ted
and
Cruz!
And so, it is another question, though. Could have life started a second time, or the time before us here on Earth? And it's, if we just had the right place to look, we would find the so-called second Genesis.
We are the aliens we're looking for. Boom!
Whoa.
And that theory is called, what is it called?
Second Genesis?
No, this theory that life came here from space.
Panspermia.
Transpermia.
I know. It was,
Oh, that's good. Dave Foley, ladies and gentlemen. Tip your servers. Try the chicken.
The Loki of words.
So, transpermia, to send seeds across in Latin.
yeah.
Yeah. But it is a remarkable thing, and it's worth studying here on Earth. So, Seth, you are affiliated. You do a lot of work with astrobiologists, yes?
Yeah, we have a lot of astrobiologists. Yes.
But do you feel did they inform your work at all, listening for radio and light signals and so on?
Well, in the very general sense, I mean, they're trying to define, what life is, how you might look for it. I mean, it's easy enough to, look for big things, but for small things, and probably most of the life in the universe is microscopic.
There are more bacteria in your tummy than there are people on Earth. Charming.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe you.
No, really.
Wait, earlier, other than of course high fives, what are some of ways that you could categorize something being alive?
It's actually quite hard to do. I mean, you can say, if you pick up your 10th grade biology book, if you still have that, and you open it up, it starts out with a definition of, well, life has metabolism and life reproduces.
Homeostasis.
Life does all this stuff. Yeah, whatever. It
keeps
doesn't
itself
list.
Are you the Wittgenstein of astronomers? Anyway. Great Wittgenstein
But
joke,
maybe
sorry.
it's something else.
But you can think of examples of things that fit the definition but aren't alive, right? Or things like mules, they don't reproduce, it turns out, but you wouldn't contest the fact that they're alive, right? Fire reproduces, but it's not alive. So there's no good definition for life. There's no good definition. The current working definition, if it evolves in a Darwinian fashion.
What?
That isn't even true.
Probably not.
What if it's in a Freudian fashion or
Yeah. So
some
that makes
other
it hard to build an
fabulous...
experiment to look for life.
So,
But are you focusing more on, the study of exoplanets? Or is SETI focusing more on planets that have been discovered?
Yeah. There's a website you can go to, actually, maintained by the University of Puerto Rico, in which they have all the currently known exoplanets that might be habitable. There are a dozen. Right?
That's all?
Well, there have been 1,000 planets found around other stars. Okay, roughly 1,000. There are 12 that it's hard to find the Earth-like worlds because they're tiny and they're dim.
Yeah.
They're hard to find. So they found 12, and you can go look them up if you want. But I'm telling you, they're on the order of 40 billion or 30 billion or 50 billion. It doesn't matter. All those numbers are the same number.
because they're big.
Because they're big in our galaxy, okay? And so obviously if you find one, you say, well, look at this. It's another Earth-like world. Of course we'll aim our antennas in those directions. But maybe you don't have to. If 1 in 5 stars has a planet that could be sort of like the Earth and could incubate a little bit of biology, then why not just look at 10,000 star systems and 2,000 of them will have a planet like
Seth,
it?
did we do something to tick you off here? Way to go, man.
Yeah, I think you did, but I don't remember what it was.
So,
Would you like a hug?
so you're saying, how long does it take to look at each star?
Well, as I mentioned, that's getting faster. These days, you can, depending on how much of the radio dial you want to check out, it could take you could spend a day on each star system. You don't want to do that.
Yeah,
you don't want to do that.
So when we think of life, you're talking about, like, there's living things in nuclear reactors, there's living things that eat the lenses of telescopes, fungi. So it could be just something we literally can't imagine at this point. So
Can we hear more about things being alive inside nuclear reactors?
Yeah, there are
What sort of-
bacteria that make a living in nuclear reactors. I've never really spoken with them, but they...
Well, you
they
can
live.
speak. They're called radiodurans. You can speak with them. They just don't talk back.
I say,
Yeah.
my concern there, Seth, was the preposition with. Spoken
Yeah.
to them. Yeah.
That
Which
just
is what
bugs
my
them.
mom would do to me. So along this line, suppose we have microbes on Mars and we're going to go looking for them. As soon as you send anything there, there's a good chance that we are going to contaminate Mars, and it won't be the good old ecosystem that it was, right?
There is some danger there. There are people who worry about that too, actually. NASA has an office of planetary protection, and I know you're going to say something.
No, I think it's fine.
Okay, right. All right. Well,
It seemed
I
like
think
the kind
it's
of thing
fine
you-
to protect planets.
Yeah.
I think it'd be dangerous to send kale to Mars. What if they're like, this is amazing, but then they develop weird problems? Go on.
What? Really?
It's possible. Too much kale is not good, people. Be careful. I'm warning you, San Francisco.
It's everywhere. Get your
It's good,
dinosaur-
but just keep it down.
Moderation is what you're saying.
Yeah.
So the Planetary Protection Office, we used to just bake spacecraft. Take the Viking spacecraft, put them in an oven, and presume that you would kill everything. But now our electronics and other,
well,
we don't want to be annealing radioactive material and so on.
you can't kill it all.
But so far, isn't Mars just kind of shitty? I mean,
No, but
is it really a problem if we contaminate it?
Yeah, it is. It might be a problem, not because suddenly you would see, mold all over Mars.
Yeah.
In that. And by
That'd
the
be
way,
like-
when you
that'd be
bake them, you get
exciting
rid of
for Mars.
99.9% of them, or 99.99%. But that's, there's so many bacteria there, there's still enough. But the point is that they fall down there on the surface of Mars, and Mars doesn't have any, ozone layer. And as a result, they get cooked by the ultraviolet. So yes, it probably contaminates the area right next to the spacecraft, but you walk a block away and it's pristine Mars.
The other thing, though, in the case of Surveyor, which was, there are a couple surveyors sent to the moon, there was speculation, by the way, when I was young, that if we landed on the moon, I say we, professional astronauts landed on the moon, they would sink into dust like quicksand. And so the Surveyor spacecraft landed first, these footpads, pictures of the footpads, all fabulous. And then guys went over there in their car, their lunar rover car. By the way, that car is worth millions of dollars, and it's not even locked. It's sitting there on they're sitting there. Okay, and they went over there and unscrewed some stuff and brought it back, and there were bacteria alive. And people speculated that these bacteria had survived on the Surveyor spacecraft for 3 years on the lunar surface. But the problem was probably, Dr. S., is this correct? That it was stuff that contaminated, the guys just handling it contaminated, and they fooled themselves.
I've talked to people at the Planetary Protection Office, and they say that it's most likely that it was contamination introduced bringing the thing back to Earth. Who knows? Microbes are tough. You talk to an astrobiologist about this. I did once. I said,
You know what you got to do to a microbe? You got to get in its face, man.
well, yeah, you got to find it. That's a problem. But if you take, I asked if you take all the biota on Earth, all the plants, and this is sort of like an experiment for Noah. Take all the biota on Earth and throw it onto Mars, and come back a year later. Will any of it still be alive? And his answer was yes. He said there's certain microbes that, particularly if they can just get underneath the sand a little bit and
Just
protect
scrape it
themselves
a little,
from the
yeah.
ultraviolet. Yeah, they're tough.
Those are called communists.
Really?
It's a red planet.
An
So
infection.
what? This is cool. So what do we do now to sterilize a spacecraft?
Well, we still sterilize them, and you want to do that, but I think what we do is not worry too much about the contamination from spacecraft, because as I say, that's local. But here's a possibility you might want to consider. We're talking about sample return missions. It sounds like Junipero Serra or something. Sample return missions, you send a spacecraft, one guy got it, you send spacecraft to Mars, and you bring back some likely looking rocks, and then you look at them here where you have really good equipment. The trouble there might be that you bring something back, and maybe there are bacteria in there of some sort, Martian bacteria, and could there be some danger to our own? Right.
Yeah.
Andromeda strain kind of
Yeah,
scenario.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. The answer is yes.
Great movie, Andromeda.
So do you have, at the SETI Institute, do you have similar protocol to make sure the signal you're receiving is sterile? That is to say, is not military, we can't tell you what it is signal? You must have all sorts of fabulous filters and...
No.
red phones.
If it sounds like the Beatles, you know it's probably just coming from, like, Middle America. Or Britain.
I like it.
I like Britain, too. I just picked a specific place.
So how are you going to know it's an intelligent signal?
Well, the nature of the signal that we look for is the kind of signal that transmitters make. It's called a narrowband signal. All that means is it's sort of like one spot on the radio dial. Right? You listen to your local, you listen to this station on this program on a broadcast station, and it's at one spot. You know, it's 810 kilohertz or whatever it is. Okay. Nature makes lots of radio noise. The sun makes lots of radio noise. Jupiter makes some radio noise. Quasars, pulsars, hot gas, cold gas. They all make a lot of radio noise, but it's all over the band. It's like lightning, right? Lightning. When you see a lightning storm, you're driving around your car. No matter where your radio's tuned, you hear.
That was a little.
There was a guy in the second row.
That was a little.
Okay.
I was trying to my lightning impression.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's all over the dial. So that's natural radio, but ET isn't going to waste transmitter kilowatt hours by broadcasting all over the dial. It'll be at some spot.
Just like that. So with that thought, we are going to take a break. Everybody, if you're listening to StarTalk here live at the Marine Memorial Theater at Sketchfest 13 in San Francisco, California. We'll be right back.